Picture this. A man in a suit boards an airplane for a short flight. Midway through the flight, he hijacks it, demands $200,000 in cash and a parachute, and then, in the middle of the night, jumps out of the plane and vanishes with all of the money. Sounds crazy. Well, this actually happened on Thanksgiving Eve, 1971, and over 50 years later, the culprit has yet to be found. Some of the money has shown up, but yet, what has happened to the infamous D.B. Cooper? Did he survive? Where did all the money go? How did he escape? Many people have confessed to being D.B. Cooper, and many people have been alleged to be the famous criminal, but yet no one has ever been convicted. Well, today, we're gonna try to solve it. That's right, we're gonna be diving in to America's only unsolved hijacking. So, sit back, relax, and welcome to camp. November 24th, 1971, day before Thanksgiving, the Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, which is a hilarious name for an airline. The Northwest Orient? What is that even? This is an Asian airline? They prepared for a routine 30-minute trip, Portland to Seattle, two wonderfully mediocre cities. Actually, no, let me take that back. Seattle is nice. Portland is, worse for wear. The weather is dreary, right? Typical. With low clouds, steady rain. The Boeing 727 is less than 1/3 full. Great flight. Everyone gets an aisle. And it's only carrying 36 passengers just trying to reach their destination before the holiday. All time, one of the worst days to fly, the day before Thanksgiving. And you're sitting on this flight. You have a whole row to yourself. You're like, dude, this is amazing. I'm on, literally trying to go see my family in Seattle. I'm a barista in Portland. I work at a strip club drive-thru. And I just want to go home. And then what happens? There's a guy seated next to you. He seems a little shifty. He's a little, he's got a hat, he got glasses. And his name is Dan Cooper. You ever heard of Dan Cooper, David?
No.
Never heard of him.
I know D.B. Cooper.
Oh, really? Oh, you know his alias?
Yeah.
Ugh, all time.
Is that actually his first name?
Well, that's the name of the person that booked the ticket. Back in the day, air travel was is fake. Like, you just show up with like a suitcase and they'd be like, do you have an ID? You'd be like, I have a picture of myself. And they'd be like, yeah, good enough. Polaroid.
Just trust me.
Yeah, just take my word for it. Like, why are you being all weird? Christos, have you heard of the D.B. Cooper story? It's all time.
I'm the one petitioning to do an episode on it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You are the one that has been trying to figure it out. Do you think you have a theory about who did it?
That's easy. I think it was Dan Cooper.
Well, who was this guy? Imagine this, nondescript man, he shows up, buys a ticket using the name Dan Cooper, and he's assigned to seat 18C, which is probably, I think it's an aisle seat, near the rear of the aircraft.
It's window.
18C, A, B. Well, I'm thinking it's 3 and 3.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
A, B,
okay.
C, D, E, F. I don't know. He's wearing a business suit, white shirt, nice black tie, overcoat. He's got a briefcase and an attaché. Which, can we get a picture of an attaché? Because I've heard this term so many times, and it's a great word to throw out there, but I don't really know what it is.
It's the yellow hats the Jews wore.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
That the Pope made him wear? No, an attaché. It's like they wouldn't.
Briefcase?
It's like
oh no, well, you put your suits in when you travel.
Okay, that's nice. So he's walking on, just looks like a regular guy, just going to Seattle, right? Flight attendant Florence Schaffner noticed something unusual about Cooper. So as he's getting on the flight, takes off around 2:50 p.m., ascending through the rainy skies, trying to get to cruising altitude. Shortly after takeoff, Cooper catches this flight attendant's attention, hands her a note, thinking it was his phone number. Typical, right? The most womanly thing. She's like, oh my God, these men are pigs.
What year is this?
1971.
Okay, yeah. If this was in the 50s, you can just like Mad Men, just fucking... Yeah, exactly.
Just as she's coming through the drink cart. So that's not what it was on the piece of paper. No, not at all. She basically smiles and puts it in her pocket. Cooper eventually leans closer and says something that would change aviation history. He says, Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb. To which she says, fine, I'll call you back. I'll go on a date with you. I mean, geez, you are being so persistent. You're going to blow up this plane if I don't just call you. She basically retreats to her jump seat, opens the note, written in neat capital letters and a felt tip pen. It says, I have a bomb in my briefcase. I will use it if necessary. I want you to sit next to me. You are being hijacked. I mean, that would suck.
The ultimate Riz.
Dude, Riz God, I have a bomb, and you were being hijacked at this very moment. I'm going to use it as an opening line. Hey, you're being hijacked right now, all right? You want to go on a date? She maintains her composure. She sits down next to D.B. Cooper. Cooper then opens his briefcase just enough for her to take a glimpse at what appeared to be cylindrical red sticks attached to a wire. So apparently he's trying to bomb the planes like Looney Tunes. I can't believe that she thought that that was actual, just red sticks with a wire. It's crazy that you could just get on the plane with a bomb. And like they didn't think to stop this until like 2000, right? Like I feel like there was no TSA. You could just go on a plane with anything in your briefcase and they're like, yeah, it's fine. Like
I don't want to get ahead, but I don't think it was a bomb.
No.
He just like put like cans and like wires in there. And he's just like,
yeah. And he was like, hopefully this girl doesn't know what a bomb looks like.
yeah, hopefully this girl's retarded.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I know what to do. I'll get red tape and write TNT. The briefcase has like a giant T thing at the top of it.
It's a piece of tape writing bomb on it.
Look, it's a bomb. She's like, prove it. Oh shit, it looks like a bomb. Alrighty, don't skip forward, guys, because I am on the road, world's fastest ad read, coming at you. I'm going to be in Bangor, Maine, Portland, Maine, Charleston, South Carolina, Atlanta, Stroudsburg, Hoboken, Indianapolis, Buffalo, Raleigh, Poughkeepsie, Portland, Oregon, Fort Worth, Texas, Austin, Texas, Stanford, Philly, Levittown, Chandler, Arizona, San Diego. I'm also going to be adding Toronto, Montreal, as well as Washington, D.C., and a bunch of other dates. You can get all that at themarkagnon.com. Dates are in the description, also in probably the comments of this episode. Go see me on the road. Come hang out. I'll be hanging out with everyone after the show. Come shake my hand. Call me an idiot. Whatever you want to do, I will be there. Additionally, I will be doing my 1 hour of stand-up comedy. I'm very proud of this hour. I'm really excited to share it with you guys, and it would mean the world if everyone could come on out. And what do you wear to a show on the road? That's a great question. You can go to campgoods.co. That's right. We got merch. We got camp merch. We got hats, hoodies, t-shirts. A lot of stuff is out of stock. Things have been selling like hotcakes, but we're going to be restocking everything in all the sizes. So you can go there right now, get all the merch, get all the coolest clothing in the podcast game. We're going to be updating that site regularly. And if you come out to a show, I'd love to see you sporting some of the threads that we got up online. I will see you guys there. Let's get back to the show. He basically says this is what he wants. $200,000 in unmarked $20 bills. That's equivalent to about $1.4 million today.
Did you say 2,000 or 200,000?
200,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Why would I say the wrong number? It makes no sense.
You're retarded sometimes.
Well, double check the tape, because if I said that, then I apologize. And he also wants 4 parachutes, 2 main chutes and 2 reserve chutes. I don't know why he wants 4. Like, I guess, like...
He just wants to be in the air forever.
He's like, dude, my dream's rich and flying around. I mean, that's insane. You need 4? I guess he's like, oh, what if they give me like a faulty parachute? I don't know.
If they give you 1 faulty parachute, what's stopping them from giving you 4?
Right?
Yeah.
So his demeanor is what strikes the crew the most. This is the most unsettling part. No shouting, no waving of weapons, no threats. The flight attendant, Tina Mucklow, even said that Cooper spoke softly when ordering a bourbon and soda. And he paid for it, which makes sense.
I mean, he has the money now.
Right? Like, he's about to get the cash. He also asked if he could leave a tip, but he was denied because she said it was against policy for flight attendants to take money from passengers.
Ooh, D.B. Cooper has great taste.
Yeah, Tina Mucklow. Shout out to her. Oh, she's on X? Oh, hold on. DM her immediately and get her on the pod. I mean, that's crazy.
That would be sick.
So this guy's robbing a plane. Meantime, he's like ordering a bourbon. He's chilling. And yeah, it's just kind of like a little transaction. So Schaffner, the main flight attendant that's sitting next to D.B. Cooper, is then told by D.B. Cooper that he demands access to the cockpit. The pilots contacted air traffic control, who then alerted authorities. And as the plane circles the Puget Sound, is that how you pronounce it?
I don't know what that is.
It's like the little piece of land over Seattle, I believe. But I don't know. Can we get a picture of the Puget Sound? I also don't know if that's how you pronounce it. I think it is, though. FBI agents and police in Seattle scrambled to meet Cooper's demands. During the tense waiting period, flight attendant Tina Mucklow replaced Schaffner as Cooper's liaison. We also should definitely get a picture of Schaffner up here. Just to see. Just to know what's going on.
Right now I'm envisioning D.B. Cooper's like James Bond.
Yeah,
like Sean Connery.
Yeah. Hold on, hit that pronunciation one time.
Puget Sound.
The Puget Sound.
Puget Sound.
That's what I said.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Double check the tape. And if I didn't say it that way, I apologize.
Yeah.
So Yeah, let's get a picture of Schaffner up there. So basically, for 2 hours, Mucklow sits next to Cooper in the passenger cabin while the plane circles the airport. She would later describe him as courteous, thoughtful throughout the ordeal. I mean, why? Like, all right.
You kind of have to be. I mean, like, if you're making these insane demands and you're threatening them, if you're acting like Charles Manson, just like, oh, loony toony,
Yeah.
like, I doubt they're gonna
Capitulate?
Yeah.
I guess also if you're like, yo, I have a bomb, you don't really need to be acting crazy. Which is actually a good lesson. If there's a guy acting crazy on a plane, probably doesn't have a bomb. Mucklow observed him chain smoking Raleigh cigarettes and answered his various questions about the aircraft, questions that revealed his interest in specific technical details about the plane. I mean, this guy's like, I get why there's so much fascination around him.
No, people root. He's an easy character to root for.
The most G thing in the world. You're sitting on the plane next to this cute flight attendant ripping darts, drinking bourbon.
Bourbon, yeah.
Got a bomb in the suitcase. So while all of this is going on, people on the ground are scrambling. They're trying to figure out, okay, how do we get $200,000? So the Northwest Orient's president authorizes the payment immediately. The company's insurance would then cover it, and passenger safety is obviously, the priority.
Yeah.
36 people. Got to protect them. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know how you get insurance for hijacking. Like, that's in the insurance policy. They're like, yeah, just in case we ever get hijacked, we're going to need cash. So the bank employees quickly gathered 10,000 unmarked bills, many with serial numbers beginning with the letter L from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. The FBI photographed each bill before placing them in the knapsack. Meanwhile, authorities collected 4 parachutes from a local skydiving school and the Air Force base nearby. Which, it's just insane that this is like someone's job.
How long did this take?
2 hours that they're flying around. And so
that's insane.
2 hours that like some intern wakes up and they're like, hey, go to this skydiving school, get a parachute. If they ask why, just be like, yeah, they're being hijacked. Just explain what's going on.
How do they just comply with all this?
Because they're like, yo, this guy's going to explode the plane. He's going to bomb it.
Yeah, but that wouldn't be procedure now.
No, probably not.
No.
Now we don't negotiate with terrorists. So 5:39 p.m., more than 2 hours after being notified of the hijacking, Flight 305 lands at Seattle-Tacoma International. Cooper instructs the pilots to go to a remote, well-lit area of the tarmac and darken the cabin to prevent any potential police snipers from targeting him. But after circling for hours, the aircraft's low on fuel, so Cooper demands a full refuel before takeoff, which is crazy. They're already on the ground, and there's nothing that they can do. So when the first fuel truck arrives, he refused it until he had visual confirmation it wasn't a law enforcement decoy. Finally, the knapsack of money and the parachutes are delivered to the aircraft. Cooper then allowed all 36 passengers, Flight Attendant Schaffner, Senior Flight Attendant Alice Hancock to then leave. He keeps the remaining flight crew on board, William Scott, William Ratazik, and then the flight engineer H.E. Anderson, as well as the flight attendant Tina Mucklow. While on the ground in Seattle, Cooper outlined the phase of his plan, the next steps. He instructs the flight crew to go to Mexico City with a potential refueling stop in Reno. His then flight specifications were extremely detailed. Maintain an altitude of 10,000 feet, which again, the standard is like 15 to 20,000. Keep the landing gear down throughout the flight. Set flaps at 15 degrees. Maintain a cabin speed of under 200 knots, slower than the normal cruising speed. And the cabin has to remain unpressurized. So at this point, they're like, oh, he's definitely going to jump out. Which I don't know. At this point, I'd be like, okay, let's do all this. Scramble fighter jets. And then the second he drops out, we just go full Tetris on his ass and just try to, I don't know, Space Invaders. Go Space Invaders and just try to like blast him. Right? Yeah, like duck hunting season. Like, I don't know why that's not the next step. Again, these aren't arbitrary, right? Each requirement revealed Cooper's, understanding of aviation and also his ultimate plan. The specific altitude would keep the plane low enough to prevent the need for oxygen mask, but high enough to clear the mountain range. The landing gear and flaps would be set low enough so that the speed would then make his parachute jump more survivable. And the unpressurized cabin would ensure that the rear stairway could be opened during the flight without causing explosive decompression. So pretty well thought out.
Yeah.
The crew then realized that they were dealing with someone who possessed detailed knowledge of the 727's capabilities and that this wasn't some type of amateur operation. So now by 7:40 p.m., darkness has fully descended over the Pacific Northwest. Flight 305 takes off from Seattle with its crew of 4 and the lone hijacker.
Where are they headed to?
Technically, they have a restop in Reno if they need it, but they're going to Mexico City.
Hell yeah.
Kind of sick, right?
Yeah, yeah.
200,000, you just jump out
south of the border. Dollar goes a long way there.
Right?
See the pyramids?
1.4 mil?
Yeah, damn.
Crazy. So what does the American government do? They deploy the fighter jets, the F-106 from McCoy Air Force Base, to follow and maintain a distance to avoid detection. A third jet trailed far behind with a heat-sensing camera ready to track any unusual activity. Cooper had Flight Attendant Mucklow show him how to operate the stairs. This is a unique feature of the 727 that could be lowered during the flight from inside the cabin. The rear stairwell was designed for passengers boarding at smaller airports without jet bridges, but Cooper clearly had other plans. As the aircraft heads south into the stormy night, Cooper ordered the crew to remain in the cockpit with the door closed. So now this guy that's just been like chugging bourbons and ripping darts all day is now sitting in an empty plane with $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and he's just chilling there with his sunglasses on. The last image that Mucklow had of Cooper was him sitting calmly in his seat, money beside him, unbothered by what's going on, just completely chill. The door closes, and Cooper's now alone in the cabin as they continue through a violent storm. And what happens next is maybe the most insane getaway to ever happen, ever, that leads to the FBI's longest manhunt and changes aviation security forever. The 727 is now heading south, and here's what he does. The crew unseals the cockpit as Cooper had ordered, continuing flying the precise flight path that he had demanded. The plane maintained 10,000 feet altitude, flaps down at 15 degrees, the exact conditions that he needs. In the passenger cabin, he's just chilling. The only people who could possibly see what was going on are the pilots in the military jet trailing at a distance, but the darkness of the storm makes tracking almost impossible. And then 8 p.m. comes around, 20 minutes after takeoff from Seattle. The cockpit crew notices something strange. A warning light goes off, indicating that the stairs have been deployed. Duh. The guy's up there with 4 parachutes. They're like, wait, is he trying to jump out? He's got parachute. What the hell? So, with the first officer, William Bertajic, later recalls thinking he's got the stairs down. Okay, that seems pretty obvious. You see a giant light come on, the stairs down, and he's like, I feel like the stairs are down. The pilot communicates this development to air traffic control, but then continue their assigned instructions. 13 minutes later, the crew felt a sudden upward movement in the tail section. Sounds like us on a Thursday night. Motion consistent with the weight of a person suddenly departing the airplane. Almost simultaneously, they noticed a change in cabin pressure, suggesting that the door had been opened. Somewhere over the densely forested area of southwestern Washington state, between the towns of Castle Rock and Ariel, near the Lewis River, Cooper makes a jump. According to the flight engineer, we felt a bump. We thought that was it. We couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. The conditions Cooper faced upon exiting the aircraft were extraordinarily harsh. Temperature at 10,000 degrees is about 7 degrees Fahrenheit. 10,000 feet is 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Not accounting for a wind chill and also freezing rain. The sustained winds of 170 miles an hour. The night is moonless and overcast, creating basically no visibility. He jumps into the storm in a business suit, loafers, and a raincoat. He takes with him 2 crucial items, right? $200,000 in ransom money and a parachute. I mean, how funny would it be if he forgot the ransom money? He's like so busy with all this, and he jumps out. He's like, wait, checks his pockets. Fuck. Oh, God, I mean, it would still be a sick story, right?
No.
Imagine they go out there, they just see cash on the seat, and they're like, what the hell, this fucking idiot. But no, he takes it with him, and he had a few different parachutes available to him. The civilian reserve parachute, and also the military issued one. What he does is he takes the civilian one and not the military one, and this potentially saves his life, as investigators later discovered that the military chute was a training model that had been sewn shut and couldn't be deployed. That's wild. They tried to set up my boy.
You think that was intentional?
I'm assuming definitely intentional, that they're like, yeah, like, let's give him a military parachute, sew it shut.
Yeah, but you want the money back. You don't want him to die.
Yeah, you do. What do you mean?
You don't want him to die.
Why?
You want the money.
I mean, look, the money's gone. $200,000. Insurance covered it. Bang.
So then you would want him allowed to question.
Sure. Maybe you want to question him. Be like, yo, what is the deal with this? But also, I just assume you want, punishment for the guy that takes the money.
It's the coolest way to die.
Arguably.
And you don't want to give him that.
Yeah, that is a good point. So who knows whether Cooper recognized this or just, picked correct, right? Deal or no deal style. And the money, it said, was secured to his body using cords fashioned from the parachute's reserve lines, a technique that showed some knowledge of parachute equipment. When searching the plane, police discovered that Cooper left behind his tie, his mother-of-pearl tie clip, and 2 remaining parachutes. We need to figure out where that tie and tie clip is, because if we can bid on that, that would be the sickest thing in the world.
I'm sure that's hung up somewhere in some museum or I don't know.
No, there's for sure like...
You think the FBI auctioned it off?
No, I'm sure some FBI agent wears it to like Christmas parties and shit.
Oh, that's actually such a sick story.
It'd be so crazy.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, this tie, you ever seen this before? Of course not, idiot. So this then becomes used as potential DNA testing, which at this time, DNA was not where it is now, so I don't even know if they knew that, but I wonder if now...
Oh yeah, this is 1971. They don't know shit.
But now, if they still have it...
OJ's case in the 90s was like the first time they were using like DNA testing as like factual evidence.
Sure. But
so 1971.
Wait, where's the tie? Where is this tie right now? Wait, it's a clip-on?
Yeah.
I mean, that's so funny. I didn't realize that.
He looks so suave, but it's just...
Yeah, I mean, that's hilarious that he had a clip-on. Wow, okay, so after his legendary disappearance, they left it on the seat. We got to figure out where it is today, though. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because I want to talk to you about the most discreet, coolest way to curb your nicotine cravings, and that's right here with Zippix. You've probably seen me chomping on a couple of these toothpicks. During the episodes of this podcast, I like to use a little bit of nicotine when I'm locking in on a long-term conversation with someone trying to figure out the deep meanings of life and aliens or even consciousness. I also like it when I'm trying to write. Sometimes right before I go on stage, I find that it just gives me a little bit more of a locked-in feeling. I can focus for a little bit longer. There's even been some studies to show that nicotine has improved aspects of fine motor skills, attention, and auditory processing and memory. So if you're trying to lock in for a little project you have, you just need a little boost. A little bit of nicotine is great. And these are great if you're trying to quit smoking too. If you don't want to fill your lungs up with smoke, but you still like the little nicotine feel, they have a bunch of great flavors. They also have 2 milligram and 3 milligram options. Zippix toothpicks are great for flights, a little sporting event, or even just hanging out with the boys, having a couple drinks. Zippix has helped hundreds of thousands of customers get their nicotine fix without needing to inhale smoke or vapes or any of that stuff. So if you're interested, go to Zippix, that's Zippix, toothpicks.com, and the listeners of this program will get 10% off their first order by using the promo code GAGNON. That's right, GAGNON. Get 10% off. I also should let you know that you have to be 21 years old or older to order. Also, nicotine is an addictive chemical, so please use it wisely, only as much as you need. Now let's get back to the show. The terrain below Cooper is the worst possible place you could pick for a parachute landing. Dense forest, mountains, ravines, and rivers. After feeling the bump, the flight continued towards Reno. With the crew following Cooper's instructions, the pilots were uncertain if he was even still on board or if he had jumped, as they had been ordered to remain in the cockpit. It wasn't until they landed at Reno that they confirmed that he was gone at 10:15. Upon landing, FBI agents immediately surround the aircraft, and when they enter, nothing in there. The money and Cooper were gone, except for his tie left on the seat. I mean, just baller.
Everything was pretty well thought out, except the weather.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can...
Also, like the logistics of like what the weather and the wind would be like at whatever altitude. What was it, 170 mile an hour winds. It's 7 degrees up there, not accounting for wind chill. And he's just wearing a suit with loafers and goggles.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know. I thought I knew the story pretty well. I didn't know those details. He's dead.
For sure dead?
For sure.
Let's find out. The FBI now has to figure out where he's at. The search area is enormous, anywhere between the flight path from Seattle to Reno. And this covers approximately 196 miles of some of the most rugged terrain in the country. So the exact location of his exit couldn't be determined with precision. And the special agent, Ralph Himmelsbach, who would be the lead of the investigation for many years, called it a search area problem of incredible dimensions. Nevertheless, the Bureau launches what would become one of the most extensive manhunts in history. Within hours, the FBI establishes Operation Norjak, Northwest Hijacking. By the next day, the search effort includes 800 military personnel, multiple aircrafts, helicopters, local law enforcement, and the National Guard. The initial searches faces a lot of obstacles. Weather had deteriorated further overnight. Visibility remains poor, and the dense forest basically obscures any view of the ground below. Which, at this point, you're like, maybe it's the most genius thing ever, right? Like,
yeah. Now I understand why he wanted them to stay in the cockpit.
Stay in the cockpit, and then you jump out at some point. And then if you can figure out, I bet you, here's my thing. So far, he has such a clear story. Like, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
I bet you he has a clearing that he lined out, and he knows, I'm going directly over this flight path, and there's a little safe house or something that I can go into. Because my thing is, if he's dead, they would have just discovered, oh, here are his remains.
Oddly enough, this plan is very well thought out, but I bet you part of the plan was like, once I get on the ground, I have $200,000 in cash. Like, I'll figure it out.
I'll do something.
But if he's in the middle of the forest,
I bet you he knows that there's a clearing. I bet you he knows, like, oh, there's a little pocket that I can land into. I'm assuming he's like former military.
No, I bet you like the plan was perfectly thought out until he jumps off the plane. Then it's like,
you think he's not going to plan out that part? He knows the degrees to put the flaps on. He knows to keep the wheels down.
Yeah, I mean, how well can you plan like where exactly you're going to land?
Sure, you can't plan that exactly, of course. But you can get a general idea. And then if you could land in the forest, then you're free and clear. You're good. They can't find you. There's no way. So then you can coordinate with like an escape guy or like some type of driver. Be like, hey, meet me out here with an ATV.
Meet me roughly from anywhere from Portland to Utah.
Yeah, just stay in the region of, do Portland
laps.
to Mexico City, and then just pick me up. So, despite the massive effort, no physical evidence is found in the days and weeks following the hijacking. No parachute, no money, no clothing, no body, nothing. And by early December, snowfall covers the entire search area, bringing the ground search to a halt. But the FBI continued to pursue leads. They're conducting interviews, but the physical evidence that they needed remains unfound. So here's what they know about him. White dude, probably 5'10" to 6 foot. Those height ranges are difficult to really narrow down on, What's the difference between 5'10" and 6 foot, right, David?
Fuck you.
There is no difference. That's my point, okay? Somewhere between 170 and 180 pounds. He's probably on a cut. Mid-40s, he's probably fasting. He's probably fasted for days before this. It has immense cognitive benefits, if anyone's interested.
Mark, at the time of recording, how long have you been fasting?
42 hours.
That's insane.
He has short, cut hair, dressed in a black or dark brown business suit, white shirt, and a black tie, no longer. Spoke in a calm, polite tone, described as a Northwestern accent. So he's probably just a lib. He's probably a huge lib, right?
What's a Northwestern accent?
Just like, Trump, like, he's just like a narcissist. Like, that's probably what he was saying the whole time. You're just like, ooh.
Can you just sit down next to me?
Yeah, just sit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like, what? Oh, you think I'm just like a toxic male? No. I hate white men. That's probably what he was saying.
Who does he look like? He looks like someone.
He looks like,
like Miles with a chin.
He's not even here. Can't do that. By the way, fuck Miles. You can drop one of those in the chat.
Please.
An interesting thing about the case emerges early in the investigation. The press initially reported the hijacker's name as D.B. Cooper rather than Dan Cooper, the name that had actually been used to purchase the ticket. This error was never corrected. Never was changed. There is no such thing as D.B. Cooper. It's Dan Cooper.
I wonder how much of the fandom he's received is based off of his name being D.B. Cooper. Because D.B. sounds sick. If it was Dan Cooper, people would be like, whatever.
Is there another famous D.B.?
My brother-in-law, I call him D.B. His name's David Biner.
That's pretty cool.
D.B.
Yeah, D.B.'s sick. There must be a famous, like, I don't know, like a basketball player or some shit. Wait, why? Why is that?
It's D-E-E-B-E-B.
First name. Okay, yeah, it looks like he's maybe the only DB. Hold on, click that show more. Oh, D.B. Sweeney, well-known American actor. And then D.B. Woodside. Oh, that's an all-time name.
D.B. Woodside.
That's a sick name, dude. I should have named my kid D.B.
You're going to have another one, so.
That's a good point. Here's my daughter, D.B. As the investigation continues, the FBI begins to focus on Cooper's knowledge and expertise, and several aspects of the hijacking suggest that this was not amateur, right? He knows everything about the 727. He has super specific flight requirements, the knowledge of the parachutes, and the selection of the functional reserve chute rather than the military one. His awareness of the Seattle-Tacoma airport and their procedures of aircraft refueling, and then also his calm demeanor throughout the hijacking. So far, I'm like, look, this guy's former, like probably military.
Yeah.
Worked in aviation in some capacity. Like so many different, like pilots and captains were former like Air Force. So I bet you like that would be my initial thing is like, this guy definitely knows what he's doing. worked in aviation in some capacity, and then created this plan to be like, oh, there's no safeguards.
Mid-40s, 1971, he would have fought in the Korean War.
Yeah. Pacific Theater, and then knows how to, jump out. And that's why he probably wanted to go on the Orient flight. He's like, I'm used to this. You know what I mean? He's like, he's been fighting Koreans for the last 5 years.
1950 to 1963? 53? Yeah.
Yeah, so he was definitely deployed in Korea.
Yeah.
My suspicion. I don't know. But by 1972, the FBI had interviewed hundreds of potential suspects, processed thousands of tips. Over time, they would investigate 800 serious suspects, including detailed background checks and in-person interviews. But none would be definitively identified as Cooper. I wonder if it's an inside job. I bet, look into the pilots.
Hold on.
I'm telling you, look into the pilots. Like, you don't think one of the pilots would be like, yo, come on the plane, demand the money. There's been hijackings like this before this happened where, like, they got the money and then...
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
Like, it blows up. Or like, so there's some type of, like, issue. Some of the people, like, in these hijackings would get the ransom money and then they would just dip and they get caught later.
Yeah, but if it was an inside job with the pilot, don't you think they would have been like, hey, I'll get you to Mexico City? Don't worry. Like, hey, say we're going to Utah, wink, wink, and then we'll go to...
But then you get down to Mexico. Like, again, that's the original plan with a refueling in Reno. But you get to Mexico, then what? You're just flying out in Mexico? Or they're like, oh, you're going to be leaving in daytime? There's so many different issues. Unless if he's from the area and they're like, hey, we know how to survive out in the wilderness. Who would know how to do that? Former military.
Okay.
So initially, survival experts start to question whether or not he could even survive the jump. So they bring in a bunch of survival experts, parachuting professionals, and they consult their opinions, and there are many of them. People suggest that the freezing temperatures would have caused hypothermia for someone dressed like Cooper.
Yeah.
Not only through the air, but then also as he lands on the ground. We need to look at, maybe he was wearing something under a suit.
Wetsuit?
He might have had a wetsuit on, right? He could have been wearing something. There's also powerful winds, and a lot of the parachuting experts that they talked to said it would be basically impossible to land in the winds. Definitely not able to land in an area that you wanted to land in. And
He
then
died. Let's just say, let's cut the video. He died.
he's going into the dense forest at night, which would result in probably a bunch of injuries. And who knows if he had navigation tools to see where he was going.
He didn't. I'm going to be the biggest hater the rest of the episode. I'm in a bad mood.
Just because it's cold?
It's so fucking cold.
Are you fasting right now? Why are you so
No.
mad? They also say that Cooper has no survival equipment. I don't know about that.
What do you think? What do you think? What survival equipment did he have on him?
But
His wits?
He has a suitcase full of cartoon dynamite. Who knows what that could have actually been? Maybe it was a Swiss Army knife and a can of tuna. That's all you need. On the other hand, some people note that the altitude being less than 10,000 feet would have been less time for a free fall. The slowed aircraft speed and the shock hitting the airstream would have potentially, given him a chance at viability. And the Columbia River and Highway I-5 are relatively close to the jump area, providing potential escape routes. He calls up his buddy, yo, Tom Sawyer, meet me on the river in a raft. I'll jump on, take the river out. Oh, I'll just get to the highway and then pick me up in a car in a van. I'll throw all the shit in and we just go down to Mexico.
He died.
Cooper's meticulous planning suggests that he might have been prepared for conditions in ways that we don't know about. To this day, it is the only unsolved commercial airline hijacking in American history. What's the no?
He died.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's not the only unsolved commercial hijacking. That's because George Bush never faced the consequences for what he did to the American public. Despite one of the most intense manhunts ever launched, the FBI was outsmarted by a man who vanished without a trace.
Outsmarted, he died. He was not out. They were not outsmarted.
What about all the people that claim to have been D.B. Cooper?
Yeah, that makes their lives interesting.
Well, let's look into some of the claims, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's just also point out that prior to his capture, the American public loved him. There was a time of growing anti-establishment sentiment, and Americans viewed Cooper not as, just some criminal, but a daring anti-hero that pulled off the perfect crime against the system.
Regular old Luigi Mangione.
Type shit, you know what I mean? Basically he's Luigi Mangione. He's like, oh, I'm going to take money from an insurance company. Right? Like, this guy might just be I'm telling you, he's a socialist.
How cool would it be if Luigi was still on the run?
Yeah, that would be wild.
Like, because he got caught, this happened on a Tuesday. He got caught, Thursday or Friday.
Also, you think he did it? Look at the eyebrows. Can you pull up the eyebrows of the guy that's at the hostel? Eyebrows, Luigi Mangione, and then hostel.
Is there any way he gets out?
I think so.
With these high-profile cases, there's so much, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like stakes?
Not stakes. Like the court of public opinion. Like it's such a hot story that people can't help but feel like have emotional stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's can be characterized as like a mistrial. God, he's so hot.
Look at his eyebrows, and then look at the eyebrows of this person.
Zoom in. Go up. Ooh. Yeah,
those pictures were taken, what, like 2 weeks apart? I don't know. I'm reserving my my thoughts until we see more evidence.
This happened. I remember I was in that area the day it happened. But
You give an alibi?
I gave him an alibi. No, this happened in like early December. Like imagine we're recording this April 11th, like 4 months, and we're like, yo, this would be sick.
Yeah.
He got caught in the lamest way too.
Do you also believe that McDonald's story?
What is it?
That he's at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and then some worker there is like, "You look like the guy that killed the CEO."
Dude, I love Eric Adams so much.
Yeah, what a legend. What a legend.
He perp walked him. No, it wasn't the McDonald's worker. It was like the people also on the bus. They took a stop. I'm assuming to like at a gas station. There was a McDonald's attached to it, and the people were like, "Hey, isn't that?"
And then he's just sitting there the whole time waiting to get arrested.
How confident can you be that you see, like, maybe let's say you're so enthralled in the case that you see like an alleged photo of the guy in the hostel, and you only see his nose, eyes, and eyebrows. You can't be like, "Oh, that's Luigi. Let's call the cops." I don't believe that.
I think what happened, if he is in fact the person that did it, which again I'm going to reserve opinion on, if it is him, I'm assuming that the government just like called up the, like AT&T and was like, whose cell phone was at this location at this time? They illegally tracked him, and then they can't illegally track him because of, it's against,
Isn't that the Patriot Act? Does not allow that?
I don't know if it would allow something to that extent. So I'm assuming that they illegally track him, and then they put up the story and they go, hey, yeah, some guy saw who it was.
Chris, can you know the photo to the right of him in the taxi? Bloodshot eyes. Yeah. Up. Yeah, that one. Zoom in. Have you ever been in a taxi and have ever had just like done that, like put your head through the window and say something?
I mean, if you're about to murder someone, you'd be like, man, I hope I'm not on camera. Oops. Like, how great would it be if you got pulled into the cash cab? He just jumps into a cab. Ben Bailey's like, pew, 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 pew. And Luigi's like, oh, fuck.
That's a funny sketch.
That's
such a funny sketch.
He's like, all right, we're going to be answering some trivia. Which animal can't walk down the stairs? And he's just sitting there like,
what is that?
A cow.
Really?
I mean, I think so. I don't know. I just kind of made that up.
So the
Joe
people...
Biden. But
So people were obsessed with DB.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he was like, he's an anti-hero. No one got hurt. He made off with the money. I mean, I like the guy.
There's no one that hates DB Cooper.
It's a victimless crime.
Well, one.
Who?
Killed himself.
Okay. I don't think that's the case, okay? The mystery gets even crazier, all right? Nearly a decade after his leap, the case is like dead in the water. No one knows what's going on. Maybe like DB Cooper. The initial search had yielded nothing. There's no parachute. There's no evidence. There's no body. They don't know if he's dead or alive. You would think if he just died, like he never deployed the parachute? And then just went head first in the ground like a fucking...
No, it's possible like the parachute didn't deploy well enough, and he was going down at such immense speed. He gets caught in trees, his body... Like, if you descend onto Earth at that speed, your body just explodes.
Not necessarily. There's stories of women that have... There's one woman specific. Can you look this up? The world's longest free fall.
Give me that water, please.
The world's longest free fall. There's a woman that survived a plane crash, landed in trees, no parachute, from like 20,000 feet. A Serbian flight attendant who survived the highest fall without a parachute, 33,000 feet.
What did DB jump out of? No, it doesn't matter.
10,000.
Yeah, but she had the plane as like a buffer.
She's not in the plane when it crashes.
Where was she? Like,
she got sucked out. Yeah, for real. She's going between Stockholm and Belgrade, and the plane explodes into three pieces. The explosion kills everyone except the flight attendant, and she ends up falling. She's 23 years old. Keep going down.
Bad.
As the cabin depressurizes, the passengers and other flight crew are believed to have been sucked out of the plane at freezing temperatures, falling to their deaths. She survives as being pinned down by the food cart and the tail end of the aircraft's main body.
All right, so she was in the plane. Nice. Okay.
The fuselage separates, okay? And the crash lands in the thick snow, and that's potentially what saved her life. All right, so she's in the wreckage. I thought she flew out.
Yeah.
Regardless, there's no evidence of this guy. There's no body. There's no parachute in the trees. Then, in February 1978, the first physical evidence since the hijacking emerges. A hunter stumbles upon a weathered placard in a remote wooded area near Castle Rock, Washington. But it's not just a regular placard. It was a specific instruction card detailing the operations of the aft stairs of the Boeing 727.
Oh, bullshit.
Investigators confirmed it had come from the exact aircraft that he had hijacked 6 years earlier, and this discovery was significant because it helped narrow down his likely exit point from the aircraft.
So 7 years after this happened,
Yep.
a placard, so I'm assuming like a note card.
Yeah,
Was
but
it-
like
Was it laminated?
something like that, sure.
Okay. 7 years in the Pacific Northwest, just in the forest,
Mm-hmm.
where it rains constantly. There's a ton of moss. There's dirt. It could be mud. Just perfectly there.
It's frozen.
Frozen.
We find bodies of people in bogs.
It goes through 7 summers.
Okay, sure. Mild summers, temperate, beautiful.
Oh, God. This person. Oh.
It's laminated. We found Pompeii. It's been under the fucking rubble for thousands of years.
Yeah, but at least it's preserved under.
Who knows where this was? This was preserved. You think this was planted?
Yeah, I think this person. Whatever. Continue. Yeah. There is. I know what we're gonna get to, and that's more concrete evidence of what happened. But I don't believe that the placard survived 7 years in the forest intact.
Well, how about this? 1980, there's an 8-year-old, Brian Ingram. He's on vacation with his family on the Columbia River. Okay. While digging a fire pit, Brian uncovers 3 packets of deteriorating $20 bills bound together with rubber bands.
Yeah.
This kid's like, oh man, that's awesome.
Sick.
Okay. The money's in poor condition, water damaged, partially decomposed, but still
Say
recognizable.
that again.
The money's water damaged
Water damaged.
and partially decomposed.
Awesome.
What does that prove?
The-
it's a placard, bro. It's like
what is
laminated.
what is a placard?
You've never been on an airplane, you open up the little back flap and then you pull out the safety stuff and it's all laminated and nice?
Yeah, no, I get what it is. But I'm saying like it has to be damaged. Like,
Sure,
it-
it's
like,
damaged, but you can
How
see
can you like
how
8
to
years later
operate
you see like
stairs.
the perfect instructions? Whatever.
It's not perfect. It's deteriorated, sure, okay? That wasn't included in the one line that I read about this, all right? I'm sure you can, it's
Who does
probably-
your research?
This, my friend Zach.
Fire him.
What? Because he didn't put deteriorated on there?
Yeah.
So here's what the parents do. This part is slightly unbelievable to me. They contact the authorities after finding a bunch of money. Their son finds like, I don't know, a few $1,000s. And,
What is it, 5,800?
Yeah, $5,800, a small fraction of the 2,000 that, DB Cooper.
200,000. You said it again. There you go. Ooh.
We're going to edit that out.
Anyway.
The serial numbers matched those recorded by the FBI before the money was delivered to Cooper.
He's dead. Thank you.
The discovery made national headlines and rekindled public interest in the case. If he's dead, why is there not more money around?
Because it's not all going to fall in one spot.
The discovery, rather than solving the mystery, only makes it deeper.
Yeah.
The location where the money was found created a geographical problem for the investigators. The place where the money's found is 20 miles downstream of Cooper's estimated jump zone. How did the money travel that distance? Did it fall out of a plane at free fall speeds in a storm?
Hey,
Who
so
knows?
If you put like a little, imagine dropping a dollar bill outside of a plane in the wind. Why doesn't it just fall down? Like directly down?
Is this a riddle?
It's not a riddle. It's a rhetorical question. Actually, not rhetorical. I want an answer.
How does it fall straight down?
No, why doesn't it fall straight down?
I don't know. Air resistance, a storm.
Exactly, wind.
Okay.
Of course it's not going to fall in the same spot.
It's wadded up. You've just never seen cash in that quantity. Okay, that's probably what it is. A little broke boy. FBI agents and forensic experts then start to examine the bills. The money packets were still bundled together with the original rubber bands, which seems odd. If the money had been carried by river currents, wouldn't the rubber band have been deteriorated? The rubber bands appeared to have remained intact despite years of exposure to water and sand. The bills were then discovered stacked together in their original sequence. They hadn't been shuffled or separated. I guess it is possible that part of it flew off his body. The location of the find was on a sandy bank that was regularly submerged during the river's spring floods. The bills were buried several inches deep in the sand that geological experts determined had been deposited there after 1974. This suggested that the money had arrived at the location at least 3 years after the hijacking.
What?
Oh, that makes no sense.
Hey, I don't get that.
I guess the thought is that it's possible that he was still out there.
And that he just left it at this location for a rainy day.
Perhaps. FBI goes all out on the search area. Forensic geologists were brought to analyze the sand layers. They even ran simulations to figure out how the money could have drifted downstream, but nothing turned up. No body, no trace of D.B. Cooper. This guy, Special Agent Ralph Himmelsbach, who had been investigating the case since the beginning, hypothesized that Cooper had probably died on the jump.
What?
Oh, you'd think the guy whose job it is to go out in the woods every single day and search for this guy is like, oh, no, he's dead. We can just pack it in.
Yeah, I would be so pissed if I was on like this investigating team. She'd be like, hey, look in the forest and you may find like a wad of cash.
He says that, potentially his body decomposed, the parachute had broken up, and most of the money had disintegrated or washed out to sea, with only a few of these packets becoming lodged in the riverbank.
What's this guy's name?
Ralph Himmelsbach.
Immortalize him. Give him he's dead, but like I hope he got a raise. I hope he's in charge of everything.
Perhaps he survived the jump and some of the money had been, taken off of him during the escape. Maybe he even intentionally buried some of it as a backup stash. Bullshit. Despite the FBI's best efforts, Brian Ingram's discovery yielded, little useful evidence. There was no way to actually get DNA from it. It had been handled by too many people before it was recognized as evidence, and the sand and water had washed away any other trace of evidence that maybe had been there. One of the craziest aspects was that none of the remaining 9,710 marked bills from the ransom had ever been surfaced in circulation. FBI had distributed the serial numbers to banks, businesses, and law enforcement around the world. Financial institutions were on alert to flag any of these bills if they had appeared in circulation, yet decades passed without a single one of them being detected.
Yeah, he died. Okay, nice. Thanks, everyone, for your time. This has been another episode of Camp.
After years passed, the FBI continued to apply new forensic technologies to the limited evidence that they had. In the early 2000s, they extracted a partial DNA profile from Cooper's clip-on tie.
Sick.
The DNA sample, while incomplete, allowed them to rule out some of the suspects, but wasn't comprehensive enough. FBI agents requested that the Cooper case materials be examined for fingerprints using new technology. They discovered that the partially undetected fingerprints on one of the hijacking notes, however, this fingerprint didn't match anything in the FBI's database. The FBI officials suspended active investigations in 2016, citing the need to focus resources on more current threats. While the case was never officially closed, the Bureau announced that they would no longer actively pursue the investigation unless some physical evidence emerged. Even the FBI's reduced involvement, the mystery of D.B. Cooper have captivated amateur sleuths, with the 5,800 recovered at the Tina Bar, sandy riverbank being one of the only tangible links to one of the most fascinating crimes. So there you have it.
When did they close the case? What year?
2016.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Trump's America, dude.
Wait, what month?
May?
Technically, he wasn't.
No, July.
It's Obama.
Oh, that's a good point. Was it?
Yeah, Trump gets inaugurated Jan 2017.
How do you know that?
I was there. No, sorry, 2020.
There are a few people that have claimed to have been D.B. Cooper.
Oh, of course. It's like when a serial killer's on his deathbed, he's like, all those other unsolved murders, yeah, I did that. Immortalize me. Like, I want to be the sickest serial killer ever.
Christos, are you nodding your head?
Yeah.
Well, let's just look into something, okay? You got this guy, Duane Weber.
DW.
And his widow, Joe Weber. And they make a wild claim.
Whoa.
What?
Duane and Joe?
Yeah.
Who's gay?
Joanna.
Oh, okay.
Get your head out of the... 1995, her husband is dying in a Florida hospital. He grabs her arm and whispers, "I'm Dan Cooper." At the time, Joe had no idea what she meant until she saw a TV special on the hijacking and put it together. After her husband's death, she begins to connect the dots from their 17-year marriage. Weber had a criminal record that included forgery and burglary. He had recurring nightmares about jumping from planes and would sometimes talk in his sleep, sometimes mumbling leave the fingerprints on the plane. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because I got to tell you about a dirty little secret, okay? The insurance industry doesn't want you to know this. Well, basically what the insurance companies do is that they profit by holding on to your money as long as possible. You pay them every month, and then eventually when an accident happens, they try to deny or delay your claim so that they can keep their profits going. I mean, it goes even worse. When in court, the insurance companies want jurors to think that the at-fault driver, a mom that rear-ends someone, she's a single mom, and they think that she is going to be paying the verdict amount. Meanwhile, it's really the insurance companies who are going to be covering the costs. And that's why I want to tell you about the good folks over at Morgan & Morgan, because they will take on the case, and they are almost always going after the big insurance companies and not the individuals at fault. Morgan & Morgan fights hard for their clients, and these corporations know that, and it pisses them off. A recent client in Pennsylvania just received $29 million. The insurer's best offer, $500,000. Yeah. There's another client in Florida that received $20 million, and the last offer from the insurance company was $0. There's a reason why Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. So if you are ever injured or dealing with an insurance company that doesn't want to pay up their fair share, you could go check out Morgan & Morgan. That's right. Hiring the wrong law firm can be disastrous, and hiring the right law firm could, be a big, substantial increase to your settlement. And Morgan & Morgan makes it so easy to get started. Their fee is free unless they win. There's literally no risk. Unless they win your case, you're not paying a dime. And with Morgan & Morgan, it's never been easier. I'm telling you. You just go to forthepeople.com. That's right, forthepeople.com, and use the code GAGNON, GAGNON, or dial pound law. That's pound 529. That's forthepeople.com/Gagnon, or dial pound law. That's pound 529. And this is a paid advertisement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the show. What's up, guys? We're going to take a break really quick because I'm sitting here in my beautiful tent, as you can see, every week, day in, day out. And people always ask, they say, Mark, how do I have a tent like that? I want to sit in a beautiful tent and invite a lover, a friend, someone that I appreciate and adore. I want to give them a good time inside my tent. Well, it's easy. Thanks to the good folks over at BlueChew.com. That's right. Blue Chew is the original OG brand offering chewable tablets. And what do these tablets do? Oh, I'm glad you asked. They are going to give you just a stronger, harder, and longer lasting sexual performance. That's right. They're going to help you pitch a tent any place, anywhere. And the best part, it's all done online. That means you don't have to go to a doctor's office and, talk to them and be like, oh, I'm feeling some type of way. Look, this is not for people that are, lacking necessarily. This is for people that want to have the best experience of their life, whether it's Valentine's Day, birthday, a funeral. Who knows? Whenever you need it, you never know when you could use Blue Chew. And we have a special deal for the listeners of this program. That's right. Try your first month of Blue Chew for free. That's right. Completely free. Mark, is it going to work for me? Hey, it's free. Why not just try it? Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. All right, now let's get after it and let's get back to the show. Something even more crazy. 1979, he had taken Joe on a trip to the Columbia River, specifically to the area where Brian Ingram would later find the ransom money. During the visit, he walked the riverbank alone for hours, claiming that he was, quote, looking for something. Joe remembered him returning soaking wet, agitated, and having found this guy wanted to beat off so bad. He was jerking off near the river and fell in and came back.
Wants some peace and quiet.
Yeah, he's
trying to find the perfect jerk out.
It's just soaking wet and rolls back to his wife. He also worked for a lumber company in the Northwest during the period of the hijacking and also had a knee injury he claimed to have happened in the vicinity of the jump zone. Joe also claimed that Duane frequently traveled to the Seattle area and, according to her, had particular interest in the annual D.B. Cooper Days, the celebration held in Washington. When Joe presented her evidence to the FBI, they investigated Weber thoroughly but couldn't conclusively link him to the crime. While DNA comparisons with samples from Cooper's tie were inconclusive, FBI agent Ralph Himmelsbach, the laziest FBI agent ever, who spent years on the case, found Weber to be one of the more credible suspects. His physical appearance also matched key aspects of witness description. He was approximately the same height and weight, and despite being a black man, held all of the other He
was
had
black?
Dude. Like, yo, I'm DB.
That's where it comes from.
I'm DB. They're like, I think it was a white guy. He's like, nah, come on, nah. These fucking white devils always taking my credit. Can't ever let a black man be great. I'm DB.
He buys the plane ticket. He's like, I'm Dan, but you can call me DB.
Yo, sit next to me.
He's actually black?
No. Yo, sit next to me, pink toes. Little pink toes, shorty. I mean, this guy looks a lot like DB Cooper, bro. But that is a great sketch. The black guy on his deathbed, and he's like,
I'm DB.
baby, I'm Dan Cooper. And she's like, he's white. And she goes, shh.
It's the last word.
I mean, that's wild.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I mean, that's if he's just a black dude. I mean, that's all time. They did find $200,000 at a local strip club. He blew it all
on lottery tickets.
We're being racist. We gotta stop.
All the backwoods at the gas station, please.
We got stop.
No.
That's a great sketch. We didn't do that.
Oh my God. What does a black DB Cooper do with all the money?
We're being racist. I don't condone any of these jokes, but it is unfortunately very funny.
Oh.
One of the particularly compelling details from Weber's knowledge was the term negotiable currency, a phrase that Cooper used during the hijacking that wasn't widely reported in the press. So yeah, he apparently had knowledge of the term negotiable currency. I don't know if this guy's obsessed with the DB Cooper days and he's like going to DB Cooper days all the time.
There's a DB. That's something that I missed. There's a DB Cooper Day.
Yeah, they celebrate in Ariel, Washington every year.
God, what fucking losers in the Pacific Northwest. If you're watching this show and you're in the Pacific Northwest, we don't want your eyeballs on this pod.
I'm also coming to Portland in August, I think.
Portland, Maine.
No, I'm going to Portland, Oregon. You got to get websites at themarkgagnonlive.com. I'm coming on the road all over the place. You can see me performing 1 hour of stand-up comedy. That's not going to be offensive or racial in any capacity. Uh-oh, we got another suspect. Barbara Dayton, a transgender woman who allegedly claimed to have committed the hijacking before her gender transition. How about this, David? This is a wonderful theory.
What are we even fucking talking about anymore?
Barbara allegedly confessed to her friends Ron and Pat Foreman. She went over there in her high heels and she said, "I'm Dan Cooper." The Foremans documented their claims in this book, The Legend of D.B. Cooper. What made Barbara Dayton's case compelling wasn't just that she was transgender, but her background as a licensed pilot, an experienced parachutist, along with her knowledge of the Seattle area. The most Seattle criminal of all time. Yes.
Wait, so in this case, she,
respectful,
transitioned after.
Born a man.
Born DB.
Born DB. That bitch. Goes and gets the money, immediately parachutes into the closest hospital and says, "Chop it off. Snip, snip, motherfucker. Put some titties in here and I'm living the rest of my life as Barbara." Now that is a story.
Don't you hate it when they transition and they change their name to the different first initial?
Yeah, I know. She could have just been like Diane Cooper.
No, Debbie Cooper.
Yeah, Debbie Cooper. That'd be awesome. But I guess that's also pretty close, right?
She goes over to a friend's house like, "Guys, I have big news. Number one, I'm D.B. Cooper." That's beside the point.
What if they didn't know she was trans?
What do you mean?
What if they were just like, "Oh yeah, our friend Barbara, like she's so sweet," and then she was like, "Guys, I'm D.B. Cooper." They're like, "You used to be a guy? What the hell?"
No, the surgery back then.
That's
I
crazy.
think it's pretty obvious.
Also, trans folks back in the day were about that life, right? Like in order to get a surgery back in the day, you had to go hijack a plane, steal money just to get your surgery. Like the trans back in the day were warriors. Nowadays, you get given hormones as a kid, da-da-da. You don't even have to hijack a plane. You don't have to cause distress to anyone. But back then, they were about that life. So, Barbara's case is very interesting. There's more details. She had undergone gender reassignment surgery in 1969, meaning that she could have easily appeared as a man at the time of hijacking. According to close friends Pat and Ron Foreman, when Dayton privately confessed to being D.B. Cooper, she shared specific details about the parachute in the aircraft. Details they claimed weren't public knowledge at the time. Dayton claimed that she committed the crimes in protest of the airline's discrimination against her as a transgender pilot. She allegedly told the Foremans that after successfully completing the hijacking, she buried most of the money, keeping only enough to fund her gender reassignment surgery and living expenses. Let's go. This is the best theory I've heard. This is fire. The Foremans described how Dayton demonstrated knowledge of skydiving techniques and even showed them how she modified the parachute before the jump.
Stop listening, because I'm sorry. I
What?
can't.
This is the best theory. This one is the best one.
I know, it's definitely the funniest.
Why is it funny? Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. She possessed a military-style duffel bag similar to the one D.B. Cooper would have needed to carry the money. FBI investigated Dayton, but didn't consider her a serious suspect. Skeptics point out that at just 5'5", she was significantly shorter.
Okay,
than
next
the witness.
one. Next one.
She was wearing
She's
lifts.
5'5".
She was wearing lifts.
No.
Can we just look into it? I also,
The suspect was wearing loafers. What loafers have a 5-inch lift?
you're telling me that's not D.B. Cooper? I look at this person. I go, that's obviously.
It's obviously.
Also, a good switch up for 1969. Right? Like, this is like, that is a trans woman, and I'll be honest, looks great.
Would.
Yeah, raw.
I know. She's 5'5".
5'5" isn't great, okay?
Yeah, that's why she
Significantly.
transitioned.
It is helpful. If you're a dude and you're 5'5", you're like, well,
Might as well be a woman.
might as well get some free drinks out of this. You know? I knew a trans woman from back in the day doing comedy in Orlando, and she was pretty short.
Which way?
Born a man, now a woman.
Okay. Where's her career now?
She's doing great. Wonderful person. But was pretty short. And I didn't know she was trans for years until she said it in a joke. And I was like, oh, wow.
Really? You didn't know?
Not even an inkling of a clue. Because if you're like, she was like 5'6". I'm being serious. Being 5'6" as a dude, I think helps a trans.
Oh, this person just has a sore throat for 10 years.
Yeah. I'm like, the whole time I was like, yo, throw a Ricola in the mix, but still, you look great. So people don't really think it's Barbara Dayton because of the height. Later recanted her confession. That's also important to know.
Fucking Christ. Okay, next one.
She claimed it was a fabrication before passing away in 2002. But despite that, the theory continues to intrigue researchers. And she vanished without a dick. Anyway, Robert Rackstraw, the cryptic Vietnam veteran. This is another prominent media suspect in the years following the Cooper case. Rackstraw was a decorated military pilot with training in parachuting. He was also a member of the Army Security Agency and received specialized training at the high-altitude, low-opening parachute jumps, an advanced technique that would have given him the skills needed to survive the jump. Rackstraw's post-military life included multiple brushes with the law. He was investigated for fraud, possession of explosives, and even tried for murder of his stepfather. When investigators questioned him about the D.B. Cooper hijacking, he gave the cryptic response, "I'm not saying I'm D.B. Cooper, and I'm not saying I'm not." Which makes me think there's no way he's D.B. Cooper, right? If you got away with $195,000,
Oh, yeah.
you would probably be like, "Oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about," right?
Yeah,
like,
I'm not saying I'm D.B. Cooper. I'm not saying I'm not.
yeah, like what? What?
Was he Italian?
Yeah, he was.
No, McCoy's fucking.
No, Rackstraw. He's Italian. Basically, what made him interesting to investigators was following the hijacking. He disappeared in 1972, allegedly telling his family that he had to go south. When he resurfaced, he had a considerable amount of unexplained cash. He underwent plastic surgery to alter his appearance and even faked his own death at one point before being discovered living under a pseudonym. So,
okay, that's an easy track then. What money do you have? Is it the marked bills that they had given D.B. Cooper? Was it?
well, I'm assuming if he paid these surgeons and it never got put in circulation, then it probably wasn't.
No, but he still had cash. He came back with cash.
But I don't think that he was like showing up with like a briefcase full of cash. I think he was like buying things, and they were like, "Where'd you get all this stuff?" And he was like, "Oh, I just got a side job
195,000
in face surgery." Yes, which is genius. You commit a crime, use all that money, change your appearance, and
so
you're like,
people don't know you.
"Ta-da! I did it."
The ultimate crime.
What'd you spend the money on to get away with the crime? It's kind of perfect, right? It's brilliant. 2016, there was a TV producer, Thomas Colbert, who identified Rackstraw as Cooper, claiming to have decoded letters allegedly sent by the hijacker that pointed to Rackstraw's military units. According to Colbert's team, the letters contained encoded references to 3 Army units Rackstraw had been connected with. The team also claimed to have found a parachute strap and partial instructions for a bomb that matched the one described by Cooper. The FBI, however, officially removed Rackstraw from their suspect list in the 1980s after ruling him out through physical evidence. Nevertheless, his military background, physical resemblance, and suspicious behavior kept him on the radar of amateur investigators until his death in 2019. Throughout his life, Rackstraw seemed to enjoy notoriety that came with being a Cooper suspect, occasionally dropping hints but never making a definitive statement. D.B. Cooper is also just the most generic white guy ever.
When I die, I'm going to say I'm D.B. Cooper.
Yeah, we should start that now. Start dropping hints. Right?
I can't. I'm not 5'10".
But you could get surgery.
How do I get the money?
I have one way. I have one
way to get the money.
All right, here's another popular suspect people like. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. In April 1972, McCoy hijacked a United Airlines flight from Denver to Los Angeles using a handwritten note claiming he had a bomb. He demanded 4 parachutes, but McCoy wanted $500,000 in cash. After receiving the money, McCoy jumped from the Boeing 727 and successfully escaped. That's pretty cool. Unlike Cooper, however, McCoy was captured 2 days later after investigators traced a rental car that he used. He was convicted and sentenced to 45 years in prison, but escaped in 1974 using a fake handgun made from dental paste. McCoy didn't make it long, though. 3 months later, he was killed in a shootout with FBI agents in Virginia.
Didn't make it long. 3 months after escaping prison?
That's pretty sick. That's like all time. His background made him a perfect Cooper candidate. Vietnam veteran, combat experience, helicopter pilot, received Army parachute training, accomplished recreational skydiver, taught skydiving courses at the Brigham Young University, where he was studying law enforcement. Similarities between the 2 hijackings are striking. Both men had similar notes, requested parachutes, jumped from 727s, demonstrated knowledge of aviation. FBI agent Russell Kalame worked on both cases and co-authored a book, argued that McCoy and Cooper were the same person. However, there was also significant differences. McCoy was younger than Cooper's estimated age. He was 29 versus the mid-40s that D.B. Cooper was claimed to have been. Most witnesses from the Cooper hijacking failed to identify McCoy in photo lineups. McCoy also had a solid alibi. Family members claimed that he was with them in Utah for Thanksgiving during the day of Cooper's hijacking. I mean, that's pretty bad. If you showed a bunch of the...
Jesus Christ, I thought my hairline was bad. 29 years old.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay.
I mean, people back in the day aged so bad.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I actually just saw an interesting YouTube video about this.
What was it about?
It was about why people look so much older back in the day.
Why is it? Is it like a mental phenomenon or?
It was like a mixture of like cosmetics. People also think that like, alcohol consumption back in the day was way higher.
That's
like,
true. And because we're having like whiskey at lunch.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like cigarettes. People were smoking cigarettes like way more. Like people are just generally a little bit more health conscious.
Should I stop smoking cigarettes?
No, keep it up. You look great. Despite the alibi, some investigators believe McCoy could have made it back to Utah in time for the family dinner, especially if he had an accomplice to assist in transportation. Others proposed that McCoy was inspired by Cooper's success and decided to make his own hijacking. And then there is yet another theory. Okay, we only have a couple more left. Kenneth Christiansen. New stories have emerged since the D.B. Cooper era. 2003, this guy Kenneth Christiansen's brother claimed that he was D.B. Cooper. He died in 1994, but was a paratrooper in World War II and was later a flight purser for the Northwest Orient Airlines.
Ooh, okay.
Does that sound familiar?
Why wasn't this number 1? We started with a black guy and then a transgender who was 5'5", and then a guy who was factually not him.
Well, we're going down the list. He fit the physical descriptions of Cooper and had the necessary knowledge of aircraft operations. His position at Northwest Orient gave him intimate knowledge of the procedures, protocols, and airline features, specifically the 727's rear staircase. He would have been familiar with the flight routes, crew protocols, and potentially observed how cash payments were handled by the airline. But what made him particularly suspicious is that despite earning a modest income, he purchased a house in cash after the hijacking. After his death, his brother discovered a hidden cache of money and confessed, and a confession from Kenneth that he had something he wanted to get off his chest, though he never completed the confession before passing away.
Okay, easy solution. The house he bought in cash, were they the marked bills?
Yeah, that's a very reasonable question. Look, the marked bills thing is a problem, okay? But Christiansen also resembled the composite sketches of Cooper and was known to smoke the same brand of cigarettes, Raleigh. A photograph of Christiansen from around the time of the hijacking shows him wearing, what? A clip-on tie, similar to the one that Cooper left on the plane. Furthermore, Christiansen requested a leave of absence from Northwest Orient. When did he do this? The exact time of the D.B. Cooper hijacking. When he returned to work, colleagues noted that he seemed to have come into some money, upgraded his lifestyle, and never wore a tie ever again. Seems strange? Author Jeffrey Gray, my least favorite spelling of Jeffrey, by the way,
Joffrey? I like that.
He wrote the book Skyjack, David Sanchez on a Delta flight, and considered Christiansen one of the more plausible suspects. Though the FBI never listed him as a primary suspect, critics of the Christiansen theory point out that he was 5'8", shorter than most witness descriptions of Cooper, and that his friendly, mild-mannered personality didn't match the bold, commanding presence. I mean, that's dumb. Being like, oh, you're not as... Your attitude isn't as, isn't as wacky, you know? Like, that seems dumb. I hate when people do that. Like, people, like... a dog would go missing, they'll be like, oh, you'll know the dog. He's a golden retriever, and his name's Skip, and
super friendly.
He's the friendliest dog in the world.
And then it's just lost in the city, and you're so frantic. Like, that's not it.
There's no way that's Skip. I would call and be like, hey, I saw a golden retriever named Skip, but he seemed super passive-aggressive and sarcastic. Yeah. This dog was super sarcastic. I don't think it was your dog.
This is the most believable story.
Uh-oh.
Also, is there no like security cameras in the airport in 1971?
You would think, but I guess not. When were security cameras implemented in airports? Let's figure that out. One of the more recent suspects to emerge is Lynn Doyle Cooper, L.D. Cooper. So if you're going to buy a plane ticket to hijack and steal a bunch of money, you're going to use your same last name. He was publicly identified in 2011 by his niece, Marla Cooper. According to Marla, she recalls overhearing LD and another uncle planning something very mischievous around Thanksgiving 1971 when she was just 8 years old. Marla's suspicion was later fueled when LD returned home injured the day after the hijacking. His injuries included bruises and a bloody shirt. They were explained away as the result of like a car accident or something, you know? Yeah, no, it's just in a car accident. It doesn't matter. Just bloody shirt.
Yeah.
Still rolling up. Marla remembers her uncle discussing how money problems are over and being sworn to secrecy about what she had seen and heard. Most intriguing detail was LD's fascination with the Canadian comic book hero named Dan Cooper, the exact name the hijacker used when purchasing the ticket. This obscure detail that the hijacker had used the name Dan rather than DB wasn't widely known to the public due to the reporter messing up the name of the newspaper, adding credibility to Marla's claim. That's interesting. No one knew it was Dan Cooper. The media said DB Cooper. But for some reason, this guy was obsessed.
Where do you get DB from?
I don't know. That is an interesting mix-up. I don't even know how that happens.
They said it was a typo.
That's what it was? That Dan just became
I'm looking
DB?
at my computer right now. The A and the B are nowhere near each other.
It was a different time.
They said it was a typo in the newspaper.
Yeah, but like he's saying, if you're looking at a typewriter, like, you know, keyboard, how are you going to mess up the DAN and DB?
Someone instead of DA did DB instead.
But how do you make that
Yeah,
typo?
but like, how do you, like, if it was like DS Cooper, I would understand because the S and the A are right next to each other.
That's a good question. Or if it's DX Cooper. Suck it. LD Cooper had also been a Korean War veteran with experience in parachuting and was familiar with the Pacific Northwest, having worked as a logger in the region. After the hijacking, he showed up with strange injuries, drank heavily, and pulled away from the family. Years later, niece Marla looked back and thought maybe it wasn't just a coincidence. Marley Cooper provided the FBI with a guitar strap and a Christmas photo of LD for DNA comparison, but the Bureau had not publicly confirmed whether these items yielded any conclusive results. Nevertheless, Marley remains convinced that her uncle was the skyjacker. I know with 100% certainty that my uncle did it, said Marley Cooper. Now, David, some people suggest that he didn't survive at all. Oh, is this how the mix-up happened? They blamed the error by his source for a bad phone connection for the mistake. He says the Journal ran a piece with the name Dan Cooper the next day, but it didn't matter. So they got on the phone and they said, yeah, this guy Dan Cooper. And they said, oh, DB? Look, that's actually what happened. I mean, what do you want me to say?
I don't want you to say anything.
Some people think he didn't die, and they point to all the things we've already talked about. Freezing storm, only wearing a suit, minimal parachute, dense forest, mountain terrain, money never showing up in circulation.
No, you said it wrong. So some people say or think he died. You say some people don't think he died.
Some people don't think he died.
And then you gave reasons for why he would have died.
Some people don't think he died for...
God, I love sitting in the chair and just catching Mark's mishaps. It's the best.
If I catch another mishap, I'll kiss you on the mouth. With my fist. FBI agent Larry Carr, who led the investigation from 2007 to 2010, firmly believed Cooper...
Oh, you're stuttering now, bro.
Well, I was just thinking, I was like, if I mess up one more time, I'll kiss you on the mouth. FCP... Allegedly... Did I mess up? According to Carr, Cooper's actions such as jumping with the emergency reserve chute rather than the main chute, not requesting a helmet, jumping in loafers, all suggest that he did not understand what he was doing at all. We thought he was some experienced, skydiver because the jump was so dangerous, But an experienced jumper would never attempt that because it's impossible. The theory proposes that
Say
Cooper...
it again?
What does this guy know?
He's impossible.
What does this guy know? No. FBI agent Larry Carr. It's impossible. Sure. That's what he said.
You ever watch Prison Break?
No.
So my first exposure to DB Cooper was season 1 of Prison Break, where, spoiler alert, the whole show is about Michael Scofield trying to get his brother out of jail, and they assemble this Rat Pack team of like trying to get out of prison, and it all like brought something to the table. There was an old guy in prison, and like the lore was that he was DB Cooper, and his way to get in on the mission to get out was like, hey, like I'm DB Cooper, I know where the money is. Spoiler alert, he doesn't get out. He gets like stabbed by a cop, but he told Michael Scofield where the money was. And in season 2, it was somewhere in Utah, which is why I thought he jumped out in Utah. But in season 2, they like go to the coordinates, like a house is built on top of it. They go to the garage and dig it out, and the money was there. So this being my first exposure to DB Cooper back in the day, I'm like, oh, he's alive.
Now?
He's dead. He never made it out. Listen, we're being silly. We like conspiracy theories. We like to let our imagination run, but he never made it to the ground alive.
Can I share one more piece of research that happened in 2020?
Who's still watching?
What about this piece of evidence? Do you want to consider this?
Yeah.
DB Cooper's remains were discovered. Okay, that's not true. In 2020, a research team studying the $20 bills found by that little kid that was digging up a little fire pit, and they found a strange discovery. Microscopic algae called diatoms. Where are these diatoms found? Only on meteorites. Now, riddle me this. Is it possible that DB Cooper, instead of going down, went upwards? Hold on. No, this is important.
Dude,
These diatoms weren't just any kind, okay? They were the kind that bloom in the Columbia River during spring and summer, not in November when DB Cooper made his jump. The money didn't land in the river the night of the hijacking. It likely ended up there 3 months later, maybe even years later. How did it survive? DB Cooper survives, stashes the cash, and comes back to get it later. Maybe someone else found the money and hid it for some unknown reason. No one knows. But in 2022, a major clue resurfaces. We're on the bleeding edge of DB Cooper research, okay? This is only 4 years old, okay?
3 years old. You got it right. It's 2025.
But I'm saying maybe this was discovered in time zones. I don't know. The cold case led by this guy, Eric Eulis, takes a closer look at the black clip-on tie. High-powered microscope, they discover microscopic metal particles. Some of these include rare metals like titanium, strontium sulfide, and cerium, not found in everyday environments. In the 1970s, these metals were used in specific industries, such as Aerospace and Defense. One of their employees, a guy named Vince Peterson, a metallurgist who often traveled to Washington State for work, fit the general description of Cooper, had the exact materials on his tie. This guy died in 2002, and the family says there's no way he was D.B. Cooper. Still, the tie particles point to one thing clearly. Cooper likely worked in a technical field involving rare metals, such as aerospace, aviation, or engineering. One of the most talked about discoveries in 2023, when the children of the hijacker Richard McCoy stepped forward. McCoy is the guy that we just talked about that pulled off the exact same hijacking for years. People thought he was the same guy. 2023, son and daughter, they claim to have found something in their mother's shed, an old parachute. Not just any parachute, but the one they believed was used by their father during the hijacking. They turned it over to the FBI, who confirmed that it was what? Military surplus rig consistent with those issued in 1970. The siblings also offered DNA to compare against the potential samples from his tie. The FBI hasn't released any of the results, but this is the closest the Bureau has come in years to handling a piece of potential evidence tied directly to the hijacking. Let's go through one last piece of evidence, okay? I promise this is the last one. I know you're not happy, but I think this is going to really get you on board with the idea that maybe he's still out there. Maybe now he's a vigilante doing good.
He's how old? Mid-40s, 1970. 50 years. He could be alive. He's in the late 90s. Okay.
Maybe he's in his 80s.
And he lied and he just aged poorly.
Maybe he lives in Brooklyn, New York. Maybe he goes to Oslo Coffee every morning. Maybe, David. Who knows?
That's how he owns that condo in Williamsburg.
Maybe. We don't know. We don't know who he is. It could be anyone. But they did release a ton of files from the D.B. Cooper investigation. One file revealed that an entire dredging operation took place in 1974, right where the ransom money was later found. If the riverbed was cleared, how did the money survive the dredging? Could someone have planted it there after 1974? It was quite the bombshell. They also discovered that the FBI also lost the cigarette butts that D.B. Cooper had been smoking, the Raleighs that were left on the plane during the hijacking. That could have been usable DNA, except somewhere between 71 and now they were misplaced. The one thing Cooper definitely touched, put it in his mouth, and gone forever. And so that's a gut punch to all the investigators and sleuths that have been trying to figure this out.
You think Trump would have won instead of promising to release the JFK files?
We're gonna find D.B. Cooper.
We're gonna find DB. Great guy.
He's a great man.
Great man. We're gonna release those files. The government doesn't want us to, but I want to.
But there's also a wonderful event that we're going to go to coming up, CooperCon. Researchers like Tom Kay, Eric Eulis, and others continue to go search for FBI evidence, hoping to test the tie with new methods. And the tie is still in FBI custody today with no full DNA profile being released, but that doesn't mean that it couldn't be possible one day. But every year, people do go to CooperCon.
Where is it? Washington?
Yeah, can we look up CooperCon?
Let's shoot up that whole fucking place. What the fuck are you doing there?
It's cool, bro. It's just a bunch of
losers.
People. They're not losers. They're just people that are interested in this interesting anti-hero.
It's every year?
Happens every year.
What is the difference between 2011 to 2012? Hey, you guys find anything else?
Click on this.
Reddit thread, nice.
It's held in Seattle, and okay, they're considering selling the rights for $10,000. Do we buy it? Do we buy the rights to CooperCon? So what do you think? You think he definitely died?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he probably did.
Oh. But we needed to do an episode.
I was keeping the hope alive. I didn't know all the information, okay? I just wasn't sure. Okay, wait, what is this?
3-day event where everyone from case experts to those with casual interest gather to explore America's only unsolved skyjacking.
So riddle me this. Who did it? Answer that if you know everything.
That's not the question.
If you're so smart, if you're like, oh, I know it wasn't these guys.
It's not that's not the question of who did it. Is the guy still alive?
You're the worst investigator of all time.
No, I'm like that guy.
My bike got stolen. Oh, my bike got stolen. Who do you think did it? David, it doesn't matter who did it. It just matters that guy got deported by ICE. Okay?
That is what all that fucking matters.
Would it matter if you said to the police, hey, someone stole my bike? And then they go, hey, it doesn't matter who did it. Because we can tell you that the guy who did it, he's not here anymore. Would that pacify you? Would that quench your thirst for justice?
That's it for another episode.
The answer is no, okay?
We appreciate you wasting an hour and a half of your time.
How about you guys comment below? Tell me what you think, okay? Drop it in the comments. Let's get a Fuck Miles going, by the way.
Please.
And just let me know Do you think he's alive? You think he died? You think he's in the
I
wilderness?
think Miles is alive.
Perhaps D.B. Cooper is still alive to this day, still living out in the wilderness of the Pacific Northwest with an encampment. He's cited every now and again by
Back to camp.
researchers.
He's dead.
And that's where the Sasquatch came from. It's just a hairy Italian just holding bags of money everywhere he goes.
He walks into the coffee shop every morning with like just like 20.
Yeah.
What does a cup of cold brew go for nowadays?
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. Camp. God bless you all. And to all, a good night. If you've made it to the end of this episode, that's because you rock with us. And for that, we rock with you. You are sophisticated. You enjoy honest, true communication, a highbrow type of person that understands this. History is not just dates and names. It is a tapestry of human triumph and tragedy. From the day Nostradamus made his first prophecy to the morning Paul Revere took his midnight ride, from ancient oracles to modern revolutionaries. That is why I need you. If you have not already, please sign up for Today in History, our free newsletter. Today in History brings you the stories that matter, the moments that changed everything, and the secrets hidden in time. Join thousands of history enthusiasts who get their daily journey through time. Don't let another day of history pass you by. Take the conversation to your inbox. Sign up now through the QR code or link in the description. Today in History, because history's stories shape tomorrow's world. Thank you for watching the episode. We'll see you next time.